For those on the line, Father serves on the faculty of the Remick Leadership Program. He's a native of St. Paul, Minnesota, and began his career at the University of Notre Dame as an undergraduate seminarian in the Old College program. He completed a double major in theology and computer applications in 1999. As a member of the Alliance for Catholic Education, ACE program, he completed his MED from Notre Dame in 2003 and his MDiv in 2005. Father Nate was ordained in the spring of 2006. Since the fall of 2015, Father Nate has been a faculty member in the Alliance for Catholic Education Remick's Leadership Program. He directs the Higher Powered Learning Program, which helps teachers to use technology and personalization in K through 12 classrooms. Father Nate's research and interests include blended learning, innovative uses of technology, and leadership in Catholic schools. He is the priest in residence of Coe Hall and the chaplain of the football team.
So and Father Nate, we thank you for your time today. As the introduction suggests, you are doing a lot of the things that we like to highlight in this program for people who can't make it out to South Bend but tune in from afar. Your name came up as somebody who they've seen and they're very impressed by. And I just want to get into a little bit of the work you're doing in South Bend. And I'm going to start actually with your role with the football team, although that seems least characteristic of what your overall mission is, or so I thought. I picked up on when you were first asked to be the chaplain for the football team, you had some reservations because you're not the kind of guy to dissect plays and you'll maybe like football, but you thought, well, I'm not the best person for a football team.
I was definitely surprised that they asked me. I had no clue. I was like, why are you asking me to do this? And it's funny, when I was a young priest, it actually occurred to me, I'm like, I wonder how somebody gets to be the chaplain of the football team. And the answer was really, just Father Pete McCormick, who's a great friend and the director of campus ministry. He and the other guy who is the chaplain just kind of talked and said, hey, why don't we ask Nate? And so I was totally honored and really excited about it, but I wanted to make sure that they had the right guy, and it wasn't a mistake. And it's been incredible. Actually, there's been a lot of ways in which I think it's actually been kind of advantageous because I'm a fan, like all of us are fans of Notre Dame, but I'm not like a super fan who's really no stats on everybody and whatever. You'd be much better off talking to some of my brother priests if you want all that stuff. But I really do care about the spiritual life of our student athletes, our staff, our coaches, everybody who's there. And it's funny, I was just walking a buddy of mine around the football building maybe a couple months ago, and saying hi to everybody. Hi, how are you doing? And really, my role is just to love people up. To make sure they're doing okay, and then in some beautiful cases to pray with them. I've had the great fortune of bringing a couple of our staff members into the church, which has just been a great privilege. But as we walked out of the building, this buddy of mine said, "This is like your parish, huh?" And I was like, "Yeah, this is kind of like my parish." And having done parish work with him before, it was really cool to see, that these are people who I really do care about and love, and as much as we're trying to help them to be smart and to be strong in their role as football players, we want them to be holy as well and care about their salvation and their souls. So.
Well, I think you very succinctly put it when you said it's your job to love them up, make sure they're doing okay. And the more I read about your work with the football team, it occurred to me that the knowledge of the X's and O's on the field is really beside the point. You have found a kind of a unique group of young people who are very high achievers, but are also under a lot of scrutiny, a lot of pressure. There's a lot of keyboard warriors out there on the internet critiquing everything they do. And so you are ministering to them, understanding those circumstances. And it sounds like from everything you just said that you've been able to develop a key relationship of trust where you can keep them grounded in a way that is necessary for them.
You're exactly right, Pat. And in that same phone call with Father Pete, when I told him I didn't know what I was doing, he said, "Listen, Nate, we pay a lot of people a lot of money to know everything there is about Notre Dame football. We don't need you to call plays. We just need you to bring them to Jesus." And I was like, well, I'll try. And I think you're exactly right that I think part of my role, and look, I've tried to figure this out over the last couple of years. It hasn't been totally clear to me exactly what I do on a lot of cases, but I really do think it's my role to be a voice, exactly like you said, that reminds them that they are more than what they can do on Saturday, that they're more of a person throughout their life. Look, the lifetime of them playing football is going to be very short. The average length of an NFL player, even if they would make that, which is the tiniest fraction that actually go to the NFL, the average career is 3 years. I mean, they're going to have their whole life ahead of them, and I want them to realize that, like in life, that this is going to be, there are going to be tons of setbacks. There's going to be tons of ways in which people critique you fairly or unfairly. And you have to ground and root yourself in your truest identity, which is as a beloved child of God, redeemed by our Lord, and continue to be, not perfect but forgiven in our journey toward Him.
And you do that. I mean, I think you're saying you're sort of figuring out how best to serve that big mission. But we see you, of course, on the sidelines during the games. I understand there's weekly mass, which is pretty well attended, and that was impressive because I would imagine not all of the players are Catholic. You hand out periodically a medal with the image of a saint on it, and you tell them about that saint's life. So you find little ways that the players are obviously really into.
Yeah, and these are tried and true traditions that I just stepped into. To give the holy medals. This is a beautiful tradition at Notre Dame, and probably many of the folks who were there who participated in athletics will remember that. My older brother was a walk-on for Notre Dame's basketball team way back in the 90s, and they did that for him, right? They gave him holy medals, and so I just inherited that beautiful tradition. I kind of put my own little twist on it in posting pictures of the holy medals each time. And I actually have one of the players hold it in their hand, or sometimes coaches and stuff like that. And I'll take a picture of it, usually during the game, which is not the greatest thing, but whatever. It takes just a second. And then I'll post a little bit about that saint on Instagram, which I didn't really know much about Instagram. But if you want to follow what the holy medals on Instagram, I'm at Pray Like a Champion today, so you can follow them there. And but it's been really beautiful, and I'll tell you what, we've had this tradition of a game day, or we've had mass, and for my entire time in football so far, it has been the day before the game, and that hasn't always been the tradition, right? When I was a student at Notre Dame, they actually went to mass game day and then marched from the basilica over to the stadium. But since for the last 8 years or so, they've done it a different way. Now, Coach Freeman, and it made kind of a splash, has brought that back for this season, and we did it in the Blue Gold game in the spring, where we actually had mass in the Basilica of the Sacred Heart right before the Blue Gold game. And then the players walked from the God Country Notre Dame door all the way across campus to the stadium as just a powerful witness, right, of who they are, and to center them. And I actually had a conversation with Coach about this, and I was like, do I need to get the guys all fired up or something? Do I have to do a rah-rah thing? He's like, no, just keep doing what you're doing. Center them on their truest identity. Help them to stay centered in their faith, whatever faith tradition they have. You're exactly right. About half of our guys are Catholic, but all of the guys come to mass because I think they really see it as for whatever they want to put into it, right? If they're Catholic, it's the Eucharist. If they're not, it's this real opportunity for them to center themselves amidst the crazy storms that are about to come at them. So to ground themselves in our Lord's presence, I think, can be really important.
Well, and you must be doing something right, because one of my favorite stories about you that I came across in preparing for this talk today was when the NBC cameras were focused in on you on the sideline, and there was an injured player talking to you, and I believe it was Tommy Kramer, but I could be wrong about that. But the assumption, of course, was that he was talking to you about either the game or his injury, why he wasn't playing. But that's not what he was asking you, was he?
No, and I absolutely love Tommy Kramer. He's playing for the Lions now, and we were happy to be playing Navy, and he was like, "Father, I have a question for you. Just wondering, like, what's the church's stance on like the morality of drone strikes, and also like, how does that work? I'm thinking about the Navy. Can a person be in the military and can they be Catholic?" And I was like, that is not what I thought you were going to ask. Yeah, exactly.
This is during the game.
And this has happened. And Tommy, I think, is a really special guy, and he had all kinds of great questions. By the way, he was actually the sponsor for one of our staff members when he was confirmed last year, and just a really special guy. And he had great questions, and I don't think he's alone. I think there's a lot of guys who just start thinking. And have really interesting thoughts and questions. Like you said before, Pat, these are really intense guys. They're intense about their training. They're intense, God willing, about their studies. They're intense about life, right? And that extends to their faith too. They're really intense about, look, I want to be the best I can be. And that includes being a faithful disciple of Christ, really digging into who I am, and not taking simple answers from people too. So I think they're concerned and want to know a lot, and they're not afraid to ask tough questions. And I stumble my way through and try to give the best answers I can find. But it really is incredible that in this moment NBC showed him, and I don't know what people thought we were talking about, but it was just war theory and moral culpability of drone strikes.
Well, and I don't want to dwell only on football, because that only scratches the surface of the ministry that you are accomplishing and the outreach on behalf of Notre Dame to special populations.
It's all right. It's all my family wants to talk about anyway, too. So,
but you have a PhD in education policy, and you are on the faculty of the ACE program. For those watching who aren't familiar with that, Alliance for Catholic Education sends recent Notre Dame grads and others out into relatively impoverished Catholic schools around the country. They teach for 2 years. They come back to Notre Dame in the summer and take coursework towards a master's degree. Father Nate, you are you were an ACE teacher, and now you teach the ACE in the ACE program. I just see this as another extension of what you're doing, which is to take what is most important about Notre Dame and realize it doesn't just stop on campus. It goes out to the people in the community who need that to bear on their lives and improve their lives.
Yeah, I think that's really well put. Wow, you did your homework on all this stuff, Pat. This is amazing. That's great. Yeah, I totally agree. And I was privileged to be a part of the program. I know I'm utterly biased, but I think of the many incredible and exciting things that are happening at Notre Dame right now, I tend to think of ACE as the most exciting, just because it's really bringing together the academic life that we love so much here at Notre Dame and academic excellence with the needs of the church, and really bringing those things together into communities that matter, and giving recent college graduates the opportunity to spread their faith, to witness to their faith, and to really drive for excellence in Catholic education, many of whom are product of Catholic education, right? Many of whom have gone through Catholic grade schools or high schools or something, and they just want to give back in a beautiful way. And God bless them, like 60% of them end up staying in schools in education, which is just incredible. This has become like just a really great pipeline for Catholic education in the nation, and I'm super proud of the work that they're doing and that I've stepped into. It certainly wasn't started by me or anything, so I just stepped into it. And actually, I teach right now in the Marianne Remick Leadership Program, which is a program, another program kind of alongside ACE Teaching Fellows, which is what you described to form Catholic school teachers. I teach just a little bit in that, but most of my work is around the Remick Leadership Program, where we form aspiring Catholic school principals. So current teachers, or even some current principals who would like to get credentialed, come to us for a 2-year program and really dig in. They get a master's degree in educational leadership at the end of it, and I am not exaggerating, and you don't have to take my word for it. If you know a Remick leader, ask them. It is an absolutely transformative program for them. It's not just about learning how to be a really competent Catholic school leader. It's how to become an absolutely excellent instructional leader in your school, executive manager, a champion for school culture, and ensuring there's a really authentic Catholic school culture there, and a really zealous disciple for Christ and a spiritual leader in your school. These are the areas that we really focus on. I'm blessed to be a part of the spiritual and personal formation of our Remick leaders, and they come to us from all over the nation, and they really form incredibly strong bonds. And now they have this network of other incredible Catholic school leaders throughout the nation that they call upon when they have questions, when they have things that they want to know about. And yeah, I'll tell you what, Catholic school leadership is not simple. And I think it's probably more difficult than ever as a project in our nation, in our world. So it really is, it's very a difficult thing, and we owe it to Catholic schools to have leaders who are really excellent and doing a great job, and feel supported by places like Notre Dame and my great colleagues who I work alongside with.
Well, thank you for describing it. Thank you for the work you're doing, and I'll turn it back over to Mike for any final thoughts and questions.
I'm sorry, I was muted. Well, Father Nate, your biography precedes you. It really illustrates what you're all about. And we really appreciate, as Pat said early on, for you taking your time out of your busy schedule to join us for this edition of the Corby Connection.
No problem. And I'm here at Corby Hall. I'm right outside the brand new Corby Hall. I got St. Mary's Lake right behind me. So this is a great place to have that Corby connection. It's a beautiful day in South Bend, and it's just wonderful to connect with you and the great folks there. So thank you.
Thank you. Thanks again. Go Irish.
Go Irish.
Go Irish.